In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
From beautiful Saline in southeastern Michigan.
Around the world at sunsky.mysteries.com.
This is the 2009 Top 10 Webcam in the World winner. This is SETV.
This message is transmitted at the request of the United States Office of Civil Defense. At 3:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, NORAD detected a long-range nuclear missile launch in North Korea. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of the Los Angeles metropolitan area. It is believed that it will impact this area within the next 1.5 to 2 hours. All residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
The only real effect I can have is to create the impression that things aren't as bad as they are. To give our people time, the opportunity to survive.
I guess I just never realized I'd gone so far. We'd lost so much control.
Totalitarianism doesn't need armies. It only needs to control a couple of things. The media and the ability to dispense privilege to some and withhold it from others. And of course, a weak and divided people helps.
Liberty is calling, the time has come.
There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rims, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet.
Well, good evening, everybody. Bill Zam here. Let me do some adjustments on the audio here. Now, welcome to... Hold on one moment while I make a quick change here on the screen. Welcome to the August 8th edition of Surrounded by Idiots. My name, of course, is Bill Zam, and if you're anything like me, I feel truly sorry for you. Remember last night we talked about the facial recognition software that the FBI is installing in a few states, including the grand old state of Michigan, where we reside. Tonight, we have even some more information about that. And some of the topics that we are going to start talking about here on Surrounded by Idiots are the type of topics that get YouTube channels canceled, just wiped off the face of the earth. So remember, Saline, etv.com, or USSA Michigan. Let me get that up on the screen. So before they go ahead and delete our channel, you'll be able to get where we broadcast live. Let me go ahead and get that up on there. There we go. Isn't that all nice and pretty? And we'll just go ahead and move it like that. Move it up over there like that. This is what you call that layer live television, folks. It's pretty cool, huh? And then we'll go ahead, move it down there like that, and move that over there like that, and there you go. Those are the two websites where you can find us. Over at USSA Michigan is where my blog is, and the audio archives of the shows. We are also doing transcripts of the shows now. Not 100% accurate, but they're pretty darn close. At any rate, let's get right down to it. Let's talk about the topic that is on a lot of people's minds, including mine, and that is the coming situation regarding the drought that we are under. I want to show you something. I have lived in this area where we are right now, here in southeast Michigan, for 40 years now. Let me, hold on a second, let me do something here. There we go. I had to pull a memory chip out of the video server. Hopefully we're not having any problems with the video stream. Now, with this situation with the drought, the Agriculture Department is saying that food prices are going to go up by 4%. What a bunch of maroons. Why don't you try like 30%, dumbasses? At any rate, and we've all seen it at the stores. Remember, what was it, in 2009, I believe it was, I was able to procure whole chickens, whole fryer chickens. I bought a bunch of them and put them in the freezer. We just used up our last one this past winter. 39 cents a pound. Same thing now is $1.18 a pound in the space of about 3 years. The prices are going to go up because remember, the corn crop is crap. It's done. Forget about it. Okay? Last year, year before, corn. You can get sweet corn. We live in the corn belt here in Michigan. You can get sweet corn. 2 dozen ears for $2. Dozen ears for $1. Now, it's 4 ears for $1. 4%? I don't think so. Now, I'm going to give you my personal experience regarding this drought. As I said, I've lived in this area since 1972. That's 40 years now. I've lived around here for 40 years. Every day, almost every day, for at least the past decade, probably longer, 20 years, I have worked in the same general area. Actually, since 1982, I have worked in the same general area of Michigan. This is close to the University of Michigan campus. It is on, because believe it or not, I actually have to have a full-time job to pay for this extravaganza. Now, I've driven by the same intersection, State Road and Textile Road. Those of you that live in the area know exactly where I'm talking about. It used to be farmland. There's a couple of business parks, some subdivisions, things like that. But it's still majorly farmland. In fact, one of the farmers is out there spraying his field just today. There is a pond. Let me describe the area for you. It is at street level. The pond is approximately 40 feet below street level. It is surrounded by hills. I'm not entirely sure if it is spring-fed. I know it is not rain-fed because there's water in it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's always the same level. So I assume it's spring-fed. It's substantially lower than the street level. So it would be down where the springs are. I have driven by there every day since 1982. State Road and Textile Road. Now, every day you see photographers there because there are great blue herons, there are swans, there are hawks, occasional eagle, there's owls that live there. It's abundant with wildlife. There's deer that come down there to drink. And I've driven by there the past few days, and this is what I've seen. That area in the center of the photograph. See all that green? And you see the mud flats over to the right? Normally that's under about 7 feet of water. That's all that's left of that pond. That is the seriousness of this drought. it is very disconcerting. We haven't seen any real rain in a long time here in southeastern Michigan, except for these storms that we see coming here and there. So it's not good. I don't know what's happening. As I've told you before, the jet stream is now essentially non-existent. We covered that a few nights ago on the show. Whatever it is, whatever is going on, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and you will see about, as we get into this, exactly why we're going to get the Dutch Sense YouTube cancellation notice any day now. So make sure you head over to SeleneETV.com or USSAMichigan.com and join in the festivities and watch the show live after they cancel our channel. And we'll be streaming our own shows. At any rate, there are some things that are happening on this planet. And today I got a couple of emails from my good friend Dwayne. He is a regular contributor to the show. A lot of the stuff you see on the show comes from his emails. I'm not sure how he does it, but this guy puts together a boatload of crap every single day. Now, I also have an anonymous source that is in another country, west of here. And you recall last night I told you about the, let me see here, let me get down here on the show notes to what we talked about last night. Let me see here. I left it up on here. It's down here. No, that's something we're going to talk about later tonight. That's something we're going to talk about later tonight. Psychopaths, idiots. Yep, idiots. And there's a thing from Cliff High from last night. And, of course, I can't find what I'm looking for. Go figure. At any rate, there is a, let me see. I know it's on here. Bear with me for a minute. Hang on a minute. Let me go ahead and do this. And you guys can hold on a second. I'll be right back. There we go. Wasn't that entertaining? Yes, it was. Okay, let's take a look at our show notes. We're going to take a look at what we talked about last night. This concerns something that I was told just before we came on the air, as a matter of fact, from one of our anonymous sources who wishes to remain anonymous, believe it or not. Let me get the volume turned back up here. There we go. This person requested to remain anonymous. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a story. You recall the Mike Harris and John Moore brouhaha about the supposed secret meetings for the continuity of government families and how to be ready to evacuate sometime in the near future. Apparently some part of the Planet X system is inbound and will pass close by to us. Mitchell Coombs. You remember Mitchell Coombs? He was a fella that accurately predicted the Japan earthquake and tsunami, and it's part of tonight's show. So those of you that saw this last night, please bear with me. And it ties in to what I was told just before the show. He has posted that he is going to begin a 104-hour countdown to a new series of earthquakes. What he is saying is that, here's what he says. Okay, you've been warned of what's to come. We are getting extremely close to 104-hour tsunami warning. I strongly advise if you live on the East Coast of Australia and the west coast of the USA, have your evacuation gear ready to go as soon as possible. I said on March 11th that California would be next after Japan's countdown. Sydney's earthquake will be a magnitude 9.5. California's earthquake will be a magnitude 9.6, followed by two 9.4s. We certainly hope he is not correct. However, I was told by a good friend of ours and a source for the show that this person has been having a lot of their personal earthquake and disaster personal precursors, dizzy, ringing in the ears, headaches, that sort of thing, an odd feeling. Some people get these feelings before earthquakes. Now, if you recall, today, California, there was a couple of, 4.6s, 4.5s, something like that. Is that a precursor to the big one that Coombs is talking about? Who the heck knows? But really something to think about, isn't it? Now, let's get on to what I have for tonight that will probably cause another big brew ha-ha. Okay, let's go back to the show notes and get the festivities started. Longtime viewers will remember that I keep going back like a Labrador retriever to a lake to the Boeing whistleblower PDF that I have about the region of galactic fluff that we are entering into. This was written back in the 2008-2009 time period. Apparently, according to this person, NASA was scared defecationless about it. I have come across two articles on the internets, the interwebs, for those of you that are new to the internet, that you should be looking at for more information about this, and it's tonight's main story. Now, you remember that we talked a couple of weeks ago about Dr. Paul Lavallette's galactic superwave theory. I even played part of his interview. Hold on a second. For the sake of brevity, let's listen to part of that interview right now.
I went to Johns Hopkins for my BA in physics. I then did an MBA.
This is Dr. Paul Lavalette. This is part of an interview done by the Camelot people. This is one of the better interviews they did, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong about this. I'll have to check the sources and everything. I think this was done in 2006. I don't even know if Lavalette's still alive, to be honest with you. I don't know. I got to find out if he's alive and whether or not we can get him on the show, because this particular subject is of incredible importance right now. Let's go back and listen to some parts of this audio clip.
Was a constant subjector, so I did 2 years. In the middle of my business degree, I took off 2 years to do alternative service. I was working at Harvard doing research on public health, on respiratory protection of workers. Then, after finishing at the University of Chicago, my MBA, I went to did my PhD in systems science at Portland State University, and that took quite a few years to go through that. And then I founded the Starburst Foundation upon graduating, and that's still going. It's a research institute.
And this audio clip is broken up into a series of portions.
Well, yeah, there is a super wave on the way from the center of the galaxy. It's 23,000 light years travel distance, and I believe there's not one but several on their way towards us.
And there he is talking about the galactic superwave, and that is the main part of tonight's subject matter. Here he comes again.
Well, you look at the past to understand the future. In this case, you're dealing with a cyclic phenomenon, and we have the ice core record from both Antarctica and Greenland, and people have measured beryllium-10, which is an indicator of cosmic ray intensity on the surface of the Earth. So it sort of gives you a chart of how cosmic ray intensity has varied over the last few 100,000 years. And going back, you see these peaks. I had predicted you would find peaks when I did my PhD dissertation on this topic at Portland State University. And later the data came out, and indeed there were peaks. And you can take this and analyze it to look for the periods. You find there's certain periods that sort of come out of this data. And one of them is around 26 to 28,000 years, which is approximating the precessional cycle of the Earth. And in fact, the two tend to match up in a certain way, which is very interesting. Another is around 11,500 years. And the third one, there's one around 5,700 years, which is close to the Mayan calendar cycle.
Okay, so there you go. Now, let's look at this article that I have. It was written in 2011. Let's take a look at this. There we are. Dr. Paul Lavalett's galactic superwave theory. Although he does not inject himself into the 2012 controversy, Dr. Paul Lavalette has developed a theory that seems to explain many aspects of the doomsday scenario. These ideas were once considered out there by many scientists, mainly because they portrayed a worldview that was so full of apparent chaos and destruction. But in the last decade, his work has been validated, often by his former critics. And scientists are now realizing that chaos and destruction are endemic in the universe. We've written about Dr. Lavalette before. Rather than sending readers to another page, we'll recap some of our highlights here in this article. And here is the article. This comes to us from, hold on one second, let me get down to the link. Let me, well, darn it, I don't know what the link is for this one. This is a 2011 article about Dr. Paul Lavalette by Gary Vey, V-E-Y. I'm not sure what website this came from. I apologize for that. Anyways, here is Dr. Paul Lavalette's galactic wave super wave theory. Although he does, and we've already read this part, we've written about him before, we'll focus mainly on how this new understanding of our universe can literally impact our sun and in turn our planet. In fact, I can find the link really quick. It is at viewzone.com. Viewzone.com. Glazed donuts on the moon. Let's begin back in the 1960s with the Apollo 11 manned landing on the moon. On one of their EVAs, the astronauts photographed and took samples from some small craters. When they examined the floors of these craters, they noticed what looked like glazed donuts. They were actually chunks of moon dirt that were coated by glass. The glazed areas are clearly concentrated toward the top surfaces of the protuberances, which is the things that stick up, although they exist on some sides. Points and edges appear to be strongly favored for the glazing process. In some cases, droplets appear to have run down an inclined surface for a few millimeters and congealed there. Now consider this. The moon is an airless and dry environment. It is essentially unchanging. Recently, they've taken photographs of the flags that the astronauts put up. They're still sitting there. They're going to be sitting there for 1 million years. The moon doesn't change unless an asteroid hits it. Something caused this dirt on the moon to melt. And it matches up with Lavallette's theory. And all of this ties together. There's, in my brain, and this is one of the reasons why I'm still doing this show. In my brain, there are a million threads. I'm trying to braid these threads into a coherent theory, you could call it. And this is one of the major threads of that theory. Hardly anyone in the general public was made aware of this discovery, and even if they were, they could have hardly realized the significance. But in 1969, an article in Science by T. Gold proposed a theory of how they were made. Glass, as we know, is made from melting sand. It occurs naturally near sources of high temperature, such as volcanoes and meteor impacts. The atom bomb tests in New Mexico's White Sands area produced a small lake of glass at ground zero. So it was never a question about the lunar glass also having been created by something very hot. The fact that the glaze was confined to small patches suggested to scientists that the surface had been zapped rather than slow cooked. And that's a big part of this right here. It was zapped rather than slow cooked. And the likely source of this zap was our sun. You see how this is tying together. Gold estimated that the solar luminosity would have had to increase by 100 times for a duration of between 10 to 100 seconds. Also, because of a lack of debris or dirt covering the glass, it must have occurred within the last 30,000 years. This made Gold propose that our sun does this every 10,000 years or more. He suggested that future research should look for a trigger event, possibly a large comet or asteroid or Planet X, impacting the surface of the sun. Decades passed, and this theory didn't receive much attention. Then, as it often does, the theory got a fresh look by a genius, Dr. Paul Lavalette. He was not satisfied with the source of the glass being caused by a solar blast, mainly because the output would have had to be on a scale of a nova, not just a flare. He envisioned another possibility. Lavalette envisioned a large solar flare or coronal mass ejection that would become magnetically entrapped in the Earth's magnetosphere. The magnetosphere would then hold on to this fireball of radiation like a magnetic thermos bottle. And that is the holy crap part of this theory. Imagine that. Imagine something hot enough to melt the soil on the moon, trapped within the Earth's magnetosphere for however limited amount of time that would happen. Going back to the article, critics quickly denounced Gold's propositions, citing evidence of cosmic dust and blah, blah, blah crap. But Lavalette proposed that this cosmic dust was likely present on the surface of the moon during the time it was melted into the glass. In fact, he proposed that the entire solar system was full of this at the time of this solar eruption. He was vindicated. When polar ice cores on the Earth, you heard him talking about that in the audio clip that I just played before this story. He was vindicated when polar ice cores showed unusual cosmic dust deposits at strata marking the end of the last ice age. About 12,950 BCE approximates the current age of the moon glass and the intense heat that must have produced it. So where did it all come from? And here you go. This actually is very similar to one of the graphics from my infamous Boeing whistleblower PDF document. You can see the sun, the heliopause, the cosmic dust, and the termination shock in this graphic. Like the Earth, our entire solar system has its own atmosphere called the heliosphere. Again, we'll go back up here. That is the dark blue portion of the big bubble there. The big bubble, that is the heliopause, or the heliosphere. This bubble surrounds the sun and planets as it travels through galactic space. Like our Earth's magnosphere, the movement of the heliosphere creates a rounded head and a narrowing tail called the heliopause. It's actually more egg-shaped. Until recently, astronomers believed that our solar system was relatively free from cosmic dust. The cosmic dust and frozen materials of space were kept outside this protective bubble. This was confirmed when the IRS and Ulysses spacecraft showed infrared images of the solar system surrounded by wispy clouds of cosmic dust that increase in density just beyond Saturn. So if the cosmic dust is surrounding the heliopause, what would make it suddenly enter the heliosphere, and how would this coincide with huge solar flares? Lavalette envisioned something disrupting the heliosphere from the outside, impacting it and drawing cosmic dust inside with it and energizing the sun. That would be, in fact, the galactic wave theory that Lavalette came up with. And as luck would have it, it happens every time we pass through the rift that exposes us to the center of the galaxy. And, as luck would have it, as well, we are now approaching that here in 2012. Those of you that follow the 2012 paranoia and theories know exactly what I'm talking about in regards to the Mayan calendar and how that relates to this. Let's go back to this. Examining the shape of the cosmic dust clouds, the IRIS satellite team reported that the cloud was tilted relative to the solar system's ecliptic, the narrow plane containing our planets. Lavalette realized that this odd alignment tracked back to the galactic center. So, there you go. That is that part of the information. Now let's go back to some of the threads that I am attempting to braid together in my brain. Worldwide, we know that the period of 14,000 to 13,000 years ago, which coincides with the peak of abundant monsoonal rains over India, was marked by violent oceanic flooding. In fact, the first of the three great episodes of global superfloods that dominated the meltdown of the Ice Age. The flooding was fed not merely by rain, but by the cataclysmic synchronous collapse of large ice masses on several different continents, and by gigantic inundations of meltwater pouring down river systems and into the oceans. What happened at around 13,000 years ago was that the long period of uninterrupted warming that the world had just passed through and had greatly intensified, according to some studies, between 15,000 and 13,000 years ago. Sound familiar? Was instantly brought to a halt all at once everywhere by a global cold event known to paleoclimatologists as the Younger Dryas, or Dryas III. In many ways mysterious and unexplained, this was an almost unbelievably fast climatic reversion from conditions that are calculated to have been warmer and wetter than today's 13,000 years ago to conditions that were colder and drier than those at the last glacial maximum. A great sudden extinction took place on the planet, perhaps as recently as 11,500 years ago, in which hundreds of mammal and plant species disappeared from the face of the Earth. Now, what would cause something like that? Hopefully you can see where I'm going with this and how I'm attempting to tie this together for myself. I mean, I want the information. And as I tie this together, I'm trying to give the information to you folks. Remember, when we get shut down on YouTube, which I'm sure is going to be happening, thank you very much, you guys, we're going to be at SeleniTV.com or USSAMichigan.com, where you can watch us live. Now, let's get back to this information that we have here. The Russian scientist Immanuel Velashkovsky's investigations of the Berezkova mammoth found in Siberia around 1901 in a half-standing position with buttercups in its mouth. That is what you call flash frozen. That is how quickly the environment on the Earth went to warmer and wetter than what we have now. And remember, here in North America, we've got this horrible drought going. We've got emergency situations all over the place. But remember, in the UK, in the Philippines, in Indonesia, and around there, they are being inundated by water on the other side of the planet. Monsoonal, unbelievable rains. My brother lives in the Philippines. I got some pictures from him the other day of some of the... It's incredible how much rain the Philippines are getting right now. It's pretty scary over there, folks. I mean, holy crap. It's just... I mean, I've seen the photographs firsthand, and this is my brother that's living over there, so it makes me kind of nervous. Let's go back to this. We can picture the Arctic Circle as a circular piece of adhesive plaster with the North Pole as its center. Before 10,000 BC, that plaster was apparently reached further down, so its center was in Hudson Bay, and its southernmost edge was as far south as Ohio. As Rand had noticed, the western edge of the plaster did not extend to the west coast of Canada. Hapgood concluded, thus we are able to say that warm conditions of the Arctic archipelago of Canada persisted from the entire duration of the Wisconsin glaciation from 40,000 years ago to the establishment of modern conditions. You get that? That is a very interesting point to make, because we know that the North Pole, where it is now, up there at the top of the planet, was at one point around 40,000 years ago. And if I read the rest of this, correctly, before 10,000 BC, that would have been 10,000 years ago, was in Hudson Bay, with the Arctic cap reaching down as far south as Ohio. Now, let's continue on, because this is where it starts to get interesting. Hapgood presented evidence to demonstrate in the same way that the North Pole moved from the Yukon District to the Greenland Sea about 80,000 years ago, and then from the Greenland Sea to Hudson Bay about 50,000 years ago, and from Hudson Bay to its present position about 17,000 to 12,000 years ago. Now that is a holy crap kind of statement. It went from Greenland to Hudson Bay to at the top of the planet where it is now as 12,000 years ago. That's like an eye blink in the history of the world. And there were human beings around back then. You can imagine what they went through. Amazing. So let's go back to this. And I know what you're saying to yourselves. You're saying to yourselves, Bill, is there something more to add to that? There is. I give you the current crustal shift that we are experiencing right now as we speak. Our science guy, Boris Artemenko, has been drumming into my bald cranium that we are having a crustal shift right now. And that explains exactly why the sun is in the wrong position, the jet stream is all but gone, and the extreme weather all over the world. So let's take a look at this. Remember, last winter I showed you the video interview with Dimitar Ozuanov, I believe is the guy's name. It was an interview at some science fair somewhere, and I think it was, bear with me while I say, this helps me think when I do this. I believe it was in Europe, maybe in Norway, someplace like that. And the kid that was interviewing him was just like, he was just sitting there going, while this guy was explaining it to him. And it seems that above Japan, just before the earthquake, the temperature of the atmosphere rose rapidly. Let's take a look over here. This is from MIT. Atmosphere above Japan heated rapidly before the M9 earthquake. Infrared emissions above the epicenter increased dramatically in the days before the earthquake in Japan. Now let me zoom in on this and we'll go scrolling back and forth. Now you can see this is let me see here, let me get my mouse over here. This is Japan right here. You can see it on the map there. If you look at the map for a second, you can see it. Let me zoom in even closer if I can. I'm zoomed into the maximum. Okay, there's Japan. And as you can see, that is March 1st, 2011. You can see Japan. And the little dot there is where the earthquake hit. Now, let's take a look. And the 2nd, and there's the 3rd, and there's the 4th of March. Now let's go down to the next series of panels. And you can see the temperature increasing on the 5th. And on the 6th, it went away again. On the 7th, it went away again. And on the 8th, look at that temperature spike where the earthquake occurred. Now we'll go back over here, and here is 3/9/2011. There's the heat spike again. Look at 3/10. Right there. Look at that heat spike. And on 3/11, look at that heat spike. And then you can see the heat spike moves off into the ocean on the 12th. Now, there are some people, the conspiracy type of people, that will say that this is all due to HAARP, that Japan had done something really horrible to the people of the earth, and the HAARP people started transmitting heat over to the atmosphere above Japan to cause this earthquake, because they knew damn well it was going to cause an earthquake and cause all of this devastation to Japan. Virtually no proof of that, so if somebody's got some proof, show it to me. Geologists have long puzzled over anecdotal reports of strange atmospheric phenomena in the days before big earthquakes. But good data to back up the stories has been hard to come by. In recent years, however, various teams have set up atmospheric monitoring stations in earthquake zones, and a number of satellites are capable of sending back data about the state of the upper atmosphere and the ionosphere during an earthquake. Last year, we looked at some fascinating data from the Demeter spacecraft showing a significant increase in ultra-low frequency radio signals before the magnitude 7 Haiti earthquake in January of 2010. Today, Dimitar Ozunov at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland and a few buddies presented data from the Great Tohoku earthquake, which devastated Japan on 11 March. Their results, though preliminary, are eye-opening. They say that before the M9 earthquake, the total electron content of the ionosphere increased dramatically over the epicenter, reaching a maximum 3 days before the quake struck. So now, you're wondering to yourself exactly what the heck that has to do with anything that I'm talking about. Stick with me here for just a second while I look something up right here. Okay. Now, We talked about the guy that predicted the Japanese earthquake and how he is predicting another earthquake to occur in the near future. A 9 earthquake on the Richter scale is unimaginable. You thought the Japan earthquake and the Haiti earthquake knocked the Earth off of its center a little bit. This would be child's play compared to what this guy's talking about. Now you remember, on our previous shows, we have had our good friend Cliff High on the shows. One of the things that his WebBot reports has been talking about is sinkholes. Sinkholes everywhere. Sinkhole, 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 sinkhole. Sinkholes, 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 sinkholes. He's been talking about that for a while. It's been in the WebBot reports. So now, let's take a look at some of the things that we are seeing now. Remember, he was talking about this some time ago. And I'd have to go back and listen to the interview again because when I'm doing the show, this stuff goes in one ear and out the other, and I don't have a lot of long-term memory of it. But we did talk about the sinkhole phenomenon because it was in one of the WebBot reports from last year. Now, let's take a look at this. A Washington state couple are hoping for a miracle after spending the last week watching their yard fall piece by piece down a 200-foot cliff that's growing. With heavy hearts, Roy and Rosalie Ballinger stand by what's left of their property in Whidbey Island, about 30 miles north of Seattle. And let me see if I have it right here. Yes, this comes to us from KOMO Channel 4. Here are some pictures of this sinkhole, folks. That there is a sinkhole, and that's their house. Here's another picture of the sinkhole. They had a 500-year yew tree in the yard that went down into the sinkhole. Look at the size of this thing. Again, this is coming to us from KOMO Channel 4. Look at this. Look at this sinkhole. And remember, we are presenting this for informational purposes. If you need more information, go to the KOMO website. Right here, there's another picture of the sinkhole in the middle of that image. This was 27 July 2012. Okay, let's go to our next article. Sinkhole swallows part of road near Springfield Branson National Airport. This comes to us from articles.ky3.com. Articles.ky3.com. This is written by Brian Vanderberg with KY3 News. He's a producer there. 6 August 2012, Willard, Missouri. A sinkhole ripped apart a road near Springfield Branson National Airport. The tear was found at the end of a farm road 105 Monday afternoon. It was about 10 feet across, then quickly grew to 15 feet wide. Here we go. From Pix 11 News in Brooklyn, Bay Bridge, New York. 5 minutes earlier, and I would have been in the sinkhole in my car. Mrs. Flood and her daughter Maddie couldn't believe their good luck. They'd just gotten out of their Chevy 5 minutes earlier. When they came back out of their house, their car was teetering on the edge of a 15-foot sinkhole on 79th Street. The evidence is mounting. Here is an incomplete list of all the sinkholes that are currently flying around. Washington State, sand geysers near the New Madrid Fault. Missouri, Baltimore, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Mammoth Beach, New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Atlanta, Santa Barbara, California, Louisville, St. Lawrence, derailment from a sinkhole. Raleigh, West Virginia, Florida, another sinkhole in Florida. Atlanta, another train derailment. Knox County, Indiana. Cramerton, North Carolina, Waxhaw, North Carolina, Gaston County, North Carolina, Union County, North Carolina, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Morocco, a sinkhole in Montana, the Erie Canal in Albany, New York, and Willard, Montana. Montana, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Florida have also reported very high radiation spikes in the past 2 to 3 days. This is not caused due to the Japanese reactor. Something is releasing this from within the Earth. It is crustal shifting. This could be due to the North American craton moving again. And here is that. This is called the Laurentia, the North American craton. You can see on the map the continental crust has remained relatively stable for the past 600 million years. This craton could now be moving. If you look at the area that this thing covers, and you envision where all of these sinkholes are, you can see that many of the sinkholes that I just mentioned are along the eastern border of the North American craton. And let me see if I can go back to the show notes here. There we go. This also handily explains the booms that people have been hearing for the last year. Let's listen to our recording of these booms. You've heard this before on the show. I'm going to play them again right now. Is the sounds that we were talking about this past fall. Let me readjust my volume here so that everybody can hear me. There we go. Here's an article called The Seneca Guns, The Booms of Summer by Pam Smith. This is, where the heck is she at? She is at, let me see here, nccoast.org, nccoast.org. The Seneca Guns, mysterious booms that rattle windows and nerves of coastal residents, have been quiet in the recent months. Again, here they are. Here's the guns. Second, here they come again. That's essentially what they sound like. The fearsome rumbles occur with no warning and leave no clues to reveal their origins. To be sure, the next Seneca Guns event will trigger frantic phone calls to local emergency management agencies. It probably will rekindle front porch debates about the source of the aberrations that have stymied scientists for centuries. Now, you recall that over the past year or so, people have been hearing this stuff all over the world. Again, the proposition by Boris Artemenko, and I buy into it, and others, incidentally, is that we are experiencing a crustal shifting. This explains the apparent setting of the sun in the wrong spot, as well as the rising of the sun in the wrong spot. We have experienced that here ourselves. In fact, let me go to... Let me go here to an article that I wrote just a couple of weeks ago. This is at my blog, The Journey into the Pit of Truth. And one of the things that I said in this, and you can see hang on a minute here, let me see if there we go. This is the, let me see if that comes up here. We're kind of waiting for it here to come up. Let me see here. We're going to have to go like this, and hopefully the whole thing hasn't crashed on me. There we go. Excellent. And there is one of the 20th July 2012. There is a map of the former jet stream over North America. That is one of the effects of what we are seeing. So, to me, all of this stuff is really starting to tie together in the way all of this is working out. And I'm not saying buy into the 2012 doom and gloom scenario. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that we are seeing a lot of really weird stuff. We are seeing the information that Paul Lavalette has researched and put out. And remember, his theories have been confirmed about the galactic superwave. We have the 2008-2009 Boeing whistleblower document where he said that NASA is scared defecationless about the region of the galaxy that we are coming into. We have the evidence of the almost instantaneous glassing of an area of the moon that the Apollo 11 astronauts had landed at. We are also seeing evidence in the ice core that cosmic rays at times come to the inner reaches of the solar system. And at that same time, there is intense activity from our sun. One would suppose, or presuppose, that this prediction by Mitchell Coombs of the 9.6 earthquakes in the near future may have something to do with the super secret continuance of government briefings that the two radio hosts have been yammering about for the past few weeks, and that military families are supposed to evacuate the coast with almost no warning. All of this, to me, is beginning to tie together. So, at this point, I know what to think, but I'm not going to say it out loud. It's a four-letter word, what I'm thinking right now, and it's not a happy thing. I don't like bringing this news to the audience, but what the heck? We're going to see if we can track some more of this down. Hopefully, we can get an expert. If any of you watching this episode know of any experts in this, if any of you have any connections to anybody in the Paul Lavalette community, please get a hold of us. Owner at sunsky.mysteries.com. Just go to SeleneETV.com and use the Contact Us button. And send us a message. We really, really, really need to talk to some experts in this, because it appears to me that this stuff is all tying together. And not making me nervous, not yet, but it's getting close. At any rate, that's about it for tonight. Remember, whenever you go outside, make sure you wear your ball cap and your sunglasses, because it screws with the facial recognition software in the drones. And we're going to be covering that again tomorrow night, because we're out of time for tonight. And as always, I've noticed when I get up in the morning, when I go to take my shower in the morning, because believe it or not, I, Bill Zam, do need to bathe once in a while. I've noticed it's starting to be darker earlier in the morning. In other words, the sun's coming up later and later. And that can only mean one thing. Here, as we continue our way through the month of August, waiting breathlessly for the approach of the earthquakes and all of the doom and gloom, we also realize that in the near future, the next couple of weeks, the school year is going to open. And that means the little cupcakes and snowflakes are going to be wending their way to school. So, when you're driving down the road, and this is a good time to practice this, as you come up to stop signs and you come up to traffic lights, always look both ways. And look carefully, too, because it's not as light as it was a month ago at that time in the morning when you're going to work and when you're coming home from work. Always look both ways because, if you hit a car, that's an accident. But if you hit a child, that, my friends, is a tragedy. My name is Bill Zam. Thank you for tuning in. We certainly appreciate it. And this deal will be up on YouTube. And as a special treat for those of you that happen to be watching live, the one or two of you that are, eat your heart out, CNN jackasses. At any rate, we're going to go ahead and set this show to repeat here in just a couple of minutes. The screen's going to go blank for a minute. We'll get the MP3 up online at USSA Michigan probably by tomorrow morning. My name's Bill Zam. Have a good evening. Have a nice night.